Okay, math, and I see that question about second language, so I'll be sure to come back to that in a bit. But I'm also cognizant of the time, so I want to make sure I get through the majority of this so people can put their kids to bed if they would like to. So the math materials, there are many math materials, but you'll probably recognize these because these are the bead frames that you already are familiar with in your primary classroom. You might recognize the golden beads down here, and over here the racks and tubes. And then the charts are here that you probably have seen in your primary classroom. Those are for memorization of math facts. So not all the materials from the primary, but a select few also exist in the elementary classroom. If there's a child that needs something like a stamp game or a dot game or something else from the primary, we're going to go get that for them. We're going to make sure they have what they need to work on to feel comfortable. So every student coming into the elementary is going to have a handful of activities that they recognize right off the bat that they know how to work with. And then from there, we just keep building. So we've got fractions, we've got binomial and trinomial cubes, we've got all kinds of stuff for squaring and cubing. One thing I didn't get a picture of was the bead cabinet with the chains, but we have those as well. And so, oh, there's just a ton of math going on. Here's a few examples. Here we have a first grader working with the bead frame and a group of first graders doing long multiplication on the checkerboard. So that's a material that will be introduced in the elementary. Here we have the bead bars, which I'm sure you've seen in the primary class. These folks have laid out the table of 1 times 1 all the way to 10 times 10. And they can see a lot of things from this. They can see that the squares of the numbers appear on the diagonal. They can trade in all of those beads and find out that they add up to the cubes of all those numbers. And there's lots of great stuff going on here. And then perhaps if you are a mathematically minded person, or if you just have geometry on the brain, you might notice that this layout is reflected again in this cubing material. So here we have the numbers being squared, here we have the numbers being cubed. And so these ladies are exploring cubing and preparing themselves to learn how to do cube root. And then here we have the story of the three kings, which is the mathematical notation for a trinomial, the expression of a trinomial. So that is a 5th grader working on that. So our materials definitely allow for exploration of ideas that we wouldn't have seen until much later in our schooling, because they have the materials right in front of them, so they can see, you know, A squared times B. They can see that in the prism that they're holding. So that allows for a lot more exploration at an earlier age. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're working at a super advanced level. It just means they're getting a lot of really good foundation by holding that material and analyzing what they're holding. And I have learned, because as Rebecca said, I have 2 children of my own who have been through this entire program. My son went through 6th grade with us because we didn't have a junior high at the time. And my daughter went through 9th grade at Wheaton Montessori. And for both of them, math did not come easily, but I did notice that they had a shorthand because of their years of manipulating the materials that really supported all their work in math later on. And then down here, we just have a really fun piece of work from one of my 2nd graders who has drawn a giraffe. I have somehow cut off the giraffe's head, I apologize. He's drawn the giraffe on graph paper, and then he has found the area of each of these rectangles. And then he up here added them all up to find the area of a giraffe in square units. So again, the follow-up work can take whatever shape they would like, as long as it's still connected and related to the concept we're working on. I think there's a tiger over here, but I only got its butt. I'm sorry. And then lots of the same with geometry. We have so many materials for geometry. Here we have some guys who have studied different rectangles. I believe this was rectangles by sides. So we were focused on scalene, isosceles, and equilateral. And they went around the classroom and they found all the triangles that we have. And they sorted them according to scalene, isosceles, and equilateral. And then we can do the same activity later with right angle triangles, obtuse angle triangles, acute angle triangles, and then we can put both of those concepts together. And now you're looking for a equilateral, no, you're looking for a acute angled isosceles triangle. Lots of fun. And again, I mean, it keeps them moving. They're looking all around the classroom. They're like, where else could we find some triangles? Ooh, I thought of a place, and then they go get them. So there's all these activities require moving around, gathering things, putting them back, which is always a really important part of the activity. Lots of good practical life work. And yeah. Suzanne is taking note of this kid in particular. He's got a very smug look on his face. Okay, up here we have measuring angles. So we're using our fraction pieces to make angles. I don't know if you can see that makes an angle there. And then we're measuring them with a protractor to find out about the degrees of angles. And they love coloring in the amplitudes of the angles. That's very satisfying.